Praise the Lord, children. Children, we must praise the Lord for His mercy on us, unconditional love for us. So, praise the Lord. Children, learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Yes, children, and from at this age to the end of your life, keep the habit of learning because it's a treasure that no one can take it from you and it will follow you wherever you goes and whatever you do. So love learning. Welcome to our social class, children. We are learning History Unit 5, Educational Development in India. Let us have a fast recap of what we have learned so far. History Unit 5, Educational Development in India. Let's recap what we learned. Education development in India, under three headings so far we learned. One is education in ancient India. That is the historical sources or provides us important information about the early times. The tradition of teaching, learning, everything we have learned through the Vedas. Veda means knowledge, and so many sources are there for knowing about the ancient time education. Can you say some of the famous writers of the time? Yes, Panini, Aryabhatta, Katyayana, Patanjali, and two people, important people, those who have written medical treatises were the Charaka and Sushruta. And so much of disciplines and so much subjects like history, logic, interpretation, architecture, polity, agriculture, trade, commerce, animal husbandry and archery, everything were taught in the education system. And physical education also an important one during the ancient time. Then the Gurukula was the important place of learning in the ancient time, and important universities under the Vigaras, under the Buddhist period and Jain period, everything we learn under the education in ancient India. The next thing we learned, education in the medieval period. It is completely a radical transformation in the education, the introduction of the Muslim education in India. That is the Islam people, those who came to India for trade, and they spread their culture, religion, and also they brought their system of education. It is based upon the elimination, that is the clarification and extension of knowledge to important schools, that is primary and secondary schools were started by them. What are their names? Maktabs and madrasas. And the education was based on Arabic literature, grammar, philosophy, medicine. Even the Central Asian people also brought Muslim educational models to India. Okay, both in the medieval and also in the early modern time. Women also encouraged to learn in the medieval time. The later medieval period, British came to India and also many European people came to India. That leads to the modern system of education in India that we learned in the yesterday's class. Modern system of education, whose role was very important? Yes, role of the Christian missionaries. And among them, why did the European come to India? For trading purpose. But they started capturing the land and constructing the fortresses later on to make the Indians to understand their administration and their culture, and they want to get the full benefit of Indian knowledge. For that purpose, what did they think to be given importance? They must decided to give importance to the education. Who were the pioneers in the field of opening schools in India? That is the Portuguese. And who was a Jesuit who started a university at Cochin? Yes, Francis Xavier. And they started so many primary schools also. And in Goa in 1575, they started a college to provide degree to the children, that is students. And another important person who introduced education to the non-Christian children was John Cranmer. Good. And in 1812, who was the person who established free reading schools? Dr. C.S. John. And following the Portuguese, who started schools? The French people also imparted education. How did they impart education? They imparted education by Indian teachers through local languages. And they started higher secondary schools, and French language also taught there, and two important bishops, Zigenbalg and Pluschamp, who were started schools for training the teachers, and also instruction was given in English. And gradually so many colleges, Sanskrit colleges opened in Madras and in Benares. And who started the Bishop College, first Bishop College at Calcutta? It was started by Dr. Middleton. And the famous Elphinstone College in Bombay, it was started by Mount Stuart Elphinstone. Who was he? He was an advocate on vernacular education. So the modern education system in India, especially the role of missionaries, made a good deal of attempt in propagation, that is expansion, and make the people know about the education. So many institutions were established by the missionaries, and they imparted Western education and also the Indian education. In today's class, we are going to see the next topic in the educational development of India. Shall we see? Yes. Education in the British rule. That is from 1813 to 1947, which was divided into 4 periods. The first was from the early days of the British rule up to 1813. During this time, the East India Company followed the policy of indifference and non-interference towards the education, because they concentrated only in increasing the trade. They didn't interfere in the educational activities of the Indian people. The company received Chat Tract from the England government, now and then. The Chat Tract was renewed for 10 years. So it was renewed in 1813. And according to the Chat Tract, the company was compelled to assume responsibilities for the education of the Indians, though on a very limited scale. So till 1813, the English East India Company didn't responsible for the Indian education. After the renewal of Chat Tract in the year 1813, who renewed the Chat Tract? The England government, and renewed it and sent it to the East India Company. It compelled the East India Company to take somewhat responsibility towards the Indian education. So the Chat Tract, which was renewed in 1813, not only compelled for the responsibility of East India Company towards Indian education, it also made a provision of 1 lakh rupee for the promotion of education in India. Every year from their profit, they allotted how much of rupees for the promotion of education in India? Amount of 1 lakh rupee. So the first period was the early days of the British rule up to 1813. In that time, the company did not involve in the education at first. Later on, after the renewal of Chat Tract of 1813, it started having little responsibility towards education in India, and also allotted a sum of 1 lakh rupee every year for the promotion of education in India. Besides missionaries, some of the non-missionaries like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was a great social reformer, Pachayappa of Madras, who was also giving more importance for education, contributing his service to education, and from Delhi, a person known as W. Fraser of Delhi. These people also contributed to the development of education during the early days to British rule in 1813. Who are the important persons of giving importance to education apart from the missionaries? Raja Ram Mohan Roy of Bengal, Pachayappa of Madras, and W. Fraser of Delhi. The second period from 1813 to 1853. So it marked a lot of great educational controversies during that period, children. That is, it involves issues of educational policies for the first time in India. And so many changes were made in the medium of instruction, because instruction through the local language is important. The British understood that. So changes the method of medium of instruction, and also they changed the method of spreading the education. The society consisted of 3 sections of people. One is the Orientalist, and another one was Anglics, and another one was the third section. Orientalist, they preserved the learning. That is, they told that the learning should be done in the Sanskrit or Persian as the medium of instruction, because they are the local languages. But it was opposed by the Anglics. They advocated the dissemination of Western knowledge through English. And third section, they believed in the use of Indian language as the medium of instruction. So there was the 3 divisions in the society: Orientalist, Anglics, and also the third section about the medium of instruction. So as there were controversies among the Orientalists, Anglics, and the third section of people, and Mr. Macaulay, Lord Macaulay, who was one of the commission member, he brought end to that controversies by making a minute. Minute means not the time, it was an act like that. So Macaulay's minutes of 1835, it made the higher education as de-orientalized, that is, encouraging the English education for the higher classes. The lower classes, they can use the mother tongue or any other local languages as the medium of instruction. But for the higher classes, according to Macaulay minutes, what was insisted? Only through the English medium. Each province was allowed to follow its own education policy, but even then the controversies continued till 1854. So the second period of education in British rule was from 1813 to 1853, nearly 40 years. It is considered to be the second period, marked a great educational controversies such as issues of educational policy, medium of instruction, and method of spreading education. Three sections of people were there who were the Orientalists, Anglics, and third section. Orientalists, they supported the ancient method of learning Sanskrit and Persian, but Anglics were opposing that. But third section, they insist the use of Indian language, not the Persian language, as the medium of instruction. Who put an end to these controversies? Lord Macaulay. He passed the minutes in 1835. And according to that, what was de-oriented? That is, higher education was de-orientalized and encouraging the English education for upper classes. And what was given to each province? Each province was given allowed to follow their own education policies. Even then, Macaulay passed the minutes in 1835. The controversies about the medium of instruction was continued till 1854. The ancient Sanskrit alphabet writings were like this. Another script, the Persian script, which was followed in the ancient time, at the time. The Lord Macaulay, who brought end to the controversies in the medium of instruction through his minutes in 1835. Under education in the British rule, the third period was from 1854 to 1920. The third phase of British influenced education may be called as the period of All India educational policy, because an important educational dispatch arrived from England to India at that time, and they made the education policy for the whole India as one, which was known by as All India educational policy. So the All India educational policy was commenced with Sir Charles Wood's dispatch, which arrived from England to India in 1854. They recommended the education policy for the whole India as one. In 1882, the next Education Commission was appointed by the English government. That was 100 Education Commission. They emphasize on the primary education in India. So third phase, the education period was called as the All India Educational Policy. It was commenced by the Sir Charles Wood dispatch in 1854, and in 1882, which was another education commission formed, 100 Education Commission for promoting primary education. But the role of the Woods dispatch was very important in education at that time. So the role of the Woods dispatch was known as the Magna Carta of English education in India. Magna Carta means an important one which made lot of changes and improvement in the English education. The first declaration of the British education policy for educating the masses at all the levels, that is primary level, secondary level, and higher secondary level. In all the levels, higher education was given more importance by the British people. So it brought control the state education, diversity from the Indian ideals and cultures. So the third period of education of British from 1854 to 1920. It was known as the All India Educational Policy. Two important commissions came from England to India. One is under Sir Charles Wood, known as the Charles Wood Dispatch in 1854, and its role was very important in improving the English education, which was known as the Magna Carta of the English education at all levels, educating the mass of the people. And under Education Commission, which was appointed in 1882, what did they give importance for? They gave importance for the primary education. The Woods Dispatch, the picture of Sir Charles Wood, who headed the dispatch, which made a great change in the education during that time. The fourth period was from 1921 to 1947. The fourth phase was known as the period of provincial autonomy. That is, complete freedom was given to the provincial administration to improve their education. Another act was passed by the British government in 1935. It ushered a new era, the educational advancement throughout the country. Era means a new change, complete change, notable change was made in the field of education at the time all throughout the country by the Act of 1935. In 1929, there was the worldwide economic depression. So that brought lot of new programs in so many countries. At that time only, there was the introduction of provincial autonomy in India by the Government of India Act of 1935. That act strengthened the position of the provincial ministries of education. Complete freedom was given to each province and the Ministry of Education in each province. So they developed the education in a good manner. So after the Second World War, there was a great change made in the field of education. That was done by a report prepared by Sargent. This is the Sargent report of 1944. It made a powerful influence on the contemporary education, both in thought, that is in thinking, and as well as in practicing the education. So the fourth phase of the British education from 1921 to 1947. How it was known as? It was known as the period of provincial autonomy, and which was the act passed during the time, the Indian Government Act of 1935. It made a new era in the educational advancement. At the time, full provincial ministry was given, strengthened by giving the autonomy to them. Autonomy means independence in making their syllabus and framing that method of education, following instruction, everything. There is a medium of instruction, everything was given freedom to them. So that's why they strengthened the provincial ministry of education. And also after the Second World War, what was the report prepared in 1944? Sargent report. According to that report, a powerful influence was made in the field of education, especially in thought and also in the practice. So during the fourth phase, Varda scheme of education was introduced by Gandhiji in the year 1937. Varda scheme of education. It was introduced by Gandhiji in the year 1937. So Gandhiji introduced that as a basic national education in India. Everyone knows that the principle followed by Mahatma Gandhi was non-violence. So in education also, through education he wanted to spread that principle. So he kept the principle of non-violence as the basis for the Gandhiji scheme of basic education. So what was the basis for the Varda scheme of education? The non-violence. Who introduced that? Mahatma Gandhiji. Which year he introduced? In the year 1937. Through this scheme, Gandhiji wanted to develop the qualities in the future citizens of India, because he wanted to construct or build a non-violent society in future. So children, those who are children today are the future citizens of a nation. So at this stage itself, what are the qualities, good qualities you learned that will be helpful to build you as a good society, as a good citizen of a country? So Gandhiji thought that education should insist on non-violence. Then only it will increase the quality of the future citizens, and it is very necessary for building a non-violent society. So children, you also avoid getting anger and follow non-violence. As the British people exploited our society and made centralization in our society, Gandhiji wanted to root out them. So his system of education wanted to root out, that is, get rid of or got rid of that exploitation and centralization of society, and he wanted to create a non-violent social order. For that purpose, Varda scheme of education was introduced by Gandhiji in the year 1937. Who introduced Varda scheme of education, children? Mahatma Gandhi in the year 1937. What was the basis of that? That is the basic education, following the principle of non-violence. So through the scheme, what he wanted to develop, what type of qualities he wanted to develop in the future citizens? As a non-violent society, because today's children are the future citizens. They want to build a non-violent society. So he introduced the system, and his system wanted to root out two things. One is exploitation and centralization in society. And what he wanted to create? He wanted to create a non-violent social order. Children, this class we learned education in the British rule. It was divided into 4 periods. The first was from the early days of the British rule up to 1813. During this time, the company did not involve in the education. But later on, according to Charter Act of 1813, it was compelled the company to assume responsibility for the Indian education on a limited scale. And the Charter Act of 1813, it not only compelled the company, it also allotted annual grant of how much? A sum of 1 lakh rupee for the promotion of education in India. And apart from the missionaries, Rajaram Mohan Rai of Bengal, Pachevara of Madras, W. Fraser of Delhi also contributed to the education in the first period of British rule. The second phase was the period from 1813 to 1853, consists of a long duration of 40 periods. So second period was marked by great educational controversies in educational policy, medium of instruction, and also the method of spreading the education. Three sections of people were there: Orientalist, Anglists, and also the third section. Okay, Orientalists insist on the basic Sanskrit and Persian medium of instruction, but Anglists were against them. They insisted learning about the Western language only. But third section of people, they insisted about the Indian use of Indian language as the medium of instruction. All these controversies who brought to an end by Lord Macaulay in 1835, and he told that in Macaulay's minute he insisted that higher education was de-orientalized, that is, it is only through the English education, and each province was given allowed to follow its own educational policies. The third phase was the period from 1854 to 1920. British influence education may be called by the period of All India Educational Policy. Two important commissions we have to talk about in this. One is a Charles Wood Dispatch, which came in 1854. That is known as the Magna Carta. That is an important education dispatch for the improvement of English education. The masses means more people. And another higher education, which came in 1882, they gave emphasis to the primary education. So complete control of state education and diversing it from the Indian ideals, Indian culture, everything came in during this third phase. The fourth period was from 1921 to 1947. It is a period of provincial autonomy. That is, according to the Indian Government Act of 1935, every province was given independence. That is, their freedom to follow their own type of syllabus, education, development, everything. So complete autonomy was given to the every province. And after the Second World War, Surgeon Report was made in 1944. And it made a powerful influence in the contemporary education, both in thought as well as in the practice. And during this time, in 1937, Gandhiji evolved the scheme. What was the scheme? What the scheme of basic national education? What was the principle of that scheme? The principle of non-violence. Especially Gandhiji, he wanted to develop those qualities of non-violence in the students, in the future, who are the future citizens of India, for building a non-violent society. And the system, it wanted to root out two things. One is the exploitation and centralization in the society, and it wanted to create a non-violent social order. Children, go through the class carefully and answer the questions which are given in the page, homework page. God bless you, dear children, today and always. Thank you, dear children. Have a great day.